Welcome to Cosmic Scene with Jill Jardine. I'm your host, Jill Jardine, longtime astrologer, psychic healer, and yogi. In today's episode, my guest is fellow astrologer Hilary Harley. Together, we'll explore the 4 months of May 2023 through August 2023. You're going to want to find out what's happening, what astro antics are at play. So stay tuned. Hilary Harley is originally from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Hilary has called Boston home since 1987. She began her astrological studies in 1998 with teachers Dietrich Petzen, Monique Pommier, and Dorothy Oja, and founded Harley Holistic Healing in 2001. She's a certified Reiki master since 2016 and certified to read the Akashic Records since 2018. Reiki and the Akashic Records are integrated into all of her astrology readings. In addition to being a holistic healer, Hilary authored The Ring of Truth, a novel which traces the life of dancer at the Paris Opera Ballet during Second Empire France. Hilary Harley is a student and practitioner of Kundalini Yoga since 1991. She holds BFA and MLA degrees from Southern Methodist University and an MPA from Suffolk University. Hilary is a member of the International Association of Reiki Professionals, as well as the National Council for Geocosmic Research, a professional organization for astrologers. It is my honor and pleasure to welcome back my colleague and guest today, Hilary Harley, fellow astrologer. Welcome back, Hilary.
Thank you, Jill, so much for having me back. It's such a joy to go over these forecasts with you together.
Yes.
Cross-reference and cross-check.
That's right. And it's funny because we're going to look at May through August. So basically spring into summer. And what we noticed is two Mercury retrograde cycles, one in May in Taurus, continuing until May 14th. And then August, we've got a Mercury retrograde surprise in Virgo. So yeah, we begin our time period that we're going to explore today and end it with Mercury retrograde.
Sounds good, or not.
Well,
it's a little tricky.
Right. Earth signs. They're kind of,
ahead.
Haven't you found them kind of weird in earth signs? Mercury, it's, in January when we had that Mercury retrograde in Capricorn, they're a little bit strange in earth signs. I feel like they're very plod along-ish.
Well, because especially with earth signs, it's about processes and putting one foot in front of the other and getting things done and making money and getting to the agenda and making sure all of our task and to-do list items are accomplished. And so with Mercury retrograde in these earth signs, it is really hard to get traction. It's like spinning your wheels in the mud.
Right. A lot more efforting, self-efforting, maybe less help from others, but more self-efforting for sure. So we're going to dive right into it. We're going to dive into May, the lusty month of May, which begins with a Pluto retrograde. What do you think about that?
So I was looking at this, and it is dicey this first week of May, the first few days. And right off the bat, I want to say Mayday, 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 because May 1st, the merry month of May, dancing around the maypole, Pluto, the god of transformation and rebirth, turns retrograde. So, and it's in the wake as we're moving toward a full moon lunar eclipse. So that is a really dicey stretch, and Mercury is already retrograde. So just take it easy, folks. The end of April 29th, 30th, and the first few days of May.
Right. The lusty month of May, Beltane, the pagan festival of May 1st, starts with Beltane Plutonian energies, which could be questionable, right? But I think that probably at that eclipse on May 5th, the Cinco de Mayo full moon lunar eclipse with the moon in Scorpio and sun in Taurus, there's going to be a lot of revelations. And it's interesting. I guess an astrologer didn't advise Biden to not release his announcement to run for president while Mercury's retrograde. He just did today in the middle of the eclipse window.
I know. I really wondered about that. I mean, it was a really good thing it wasn't yesterday during void moon. I mean, uh, he really didn't pick a great stretch to
He
announce his
Right, he coulda
reelection.
waited for a couple weeks, Mercury going direct on the 14th of May,
Yeah.
a mercurial Mother's Day, as I'm calling it, because Mercury goes direct. But just a little bit about that lunar eclipse. I'd love to hear your intake on that. I mean, it is also on this festival called Wesak, the Wesak full moon that happens every year at the full moon in Scorpio with the sun in Taurus. So it's when spiritual light is pouring into the planet, but it still is pretty malefic with what else is going on here. So what's your take on that, Hilary?
So this full moon lunar eclipse is extremely, and I don't use that word lightly, extremely strong energy.
Mm,
Um, First of all, Pluto has just turned retrograde a couple days before, and it rules Scorpio, which is where the full moon eclipse is. It's the sign of the full moon lunar eclipse. So, and it's at this very strong degree of 15 fixed Taurus and Scorpio. The sun will be in Taurus, the moon will be in Scorpio. So it's like a red flashing light to astrologers, but for all of us, we are going to be feeling this really potent energy. So we feel the maximum impact of this event, and it really gets our attention. So, very strong energy that we are already feeling, because we're now past the new moon. And so we're moving toward, it's like a wave building in the ocean. If you think of it, it's like an energetic wave.
right.
So, I'm not as familiar with the pagan festivals as you are in terms of that.
Not
No,
that I celebrate them, but they
no, but
can,
this is where I learned from you.
this is their Earth festivals. So and with it, especially being in Taurus and Earth sign, they're what they call the cross quarter days. They're the markers between the equinoxes and solstices. So ancient
Okay.
Earth ceremonies.
Okay. Well, let's talk Earth because the sun will be in Taurus directly opposite this full moon at a very strong degree in Scorpio. And Taurus and Scorpio both are the money signs. Taurus is the original show me the money sign. It rules values, and Scorpio rules shared resources, joint finances. So this is really taking precedence right now, who and what we value in ourselves, others, in life. Pluto and Scorpio rule the big guns, I call them:
Yes.
sex, death, power, shared resources, taxes, joint finances, the metaphysical realm beyond the veil of life, Kundalini energy.
Woo
This is
woo. Woo
life.
woo.
Big word, but it's, if anybody's ever done Kundalini yoga, it's, this really source life force energy rebirth. So Scorpio and Pluto are the psychologist and the detective of the zodiac, and they act like a giant bulldozer to uncover anything that has been swept under the rug. And this energy, this very strong energy, is going to cut through what needs to be seen, heard, eliminated, like purged and addressed, cleared and cleaned out. So it means business in a major way. It takes no prisoners. So this eclipse is drawing really big attention to our finances, both personal and collective. Like the national budget is a major player on current events stage right now. Power struggles between gender, sexuality issues, front and center. Power struggles over money, um, yours, mine, and ours in terms of finances. So the abortion platform, issues with trans people, all LGBTQ issues, these are all major play right now.
Right. And it's very intense. Pluto, I like to say, provides three P's. It is the plunger, the purifier, and the purger. So we'll be seeing, like you said, just think of a plunger of the toilet. That's a good metaphor for Pluto, and bringing things up so they can be released. And yeah, there's going to be a lot of issues on the plate. And it's interesting too, because this is the fourth, well, we're in the third cycle of eclipses in Scorpio and Taurus. So
Mm.
they have marked issues around the economy and recession and financial fiscal markets. They have, and so this is not the final one because there'll be one in late October, and it's a
Right.
full moon late October with the sun in Scorpio and the moon in Taurus, and then that finishes out this cycle of solar and lunar eclipses that have occurred in Taurus Scorpio. So yeah, there's going to be some big news, and the fact that we have so many planets going through Taurus right now, including the Mercury going retrograde in Taurus. We're going to have
Right.
Jupiter transiting into Taurus on the 16th. The lunar nodes are going through North Node in Taurus, South Node in Scorpio. So there's a lot of Taurus energy happening right now. Mercury retrograde in Taurus. So it's interesting, the first 15 days of the month, I think there's going to be a lot coming to light, a lot surfacing from the depths, the Plutonian depths, for people to process, right? They have the summer then to process it all.
For sure. I mean, it's going to be shaking out through the course of the summer, but these retrograde cycles, Mercury is an interpersonal planet, meaning it's closest to the sun and it's between the sun and Earth. So we feel Mercury retrograde. Pluto, not so much because it's more about the collective, but
Right.
nonetheless, it's a big deal when it turns retrograde because especially right on the cusp of this eclipse, and it's money, 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 and what do we value? And I just want to remind everybody, values aren't just attached to what we can hold and touch. It is the currency of our lives, meaning our time, our energy, our skills, and our talents. Time really is money. And where do we want to devote our time? Because that is what we could be doing something else that is of more value to us. So just think about how you're spending your time. Are you cultivating the skills and talents that you want or already have? Are you able to monetize those even more than you already are? Are you hanging out with people who bring value to your life?
Those are excellent points. And people should know, too, the whole Pluto going retrograde in Aquarius. Well, I always say, too, time is the new currency. And with Pluto going direct in Aquarius, as it's been transiting direct for the last couple weeks, it has accelerated. And everybody says, oh, I can't believe how fast things are moving. Oh, I'm running out of time. There's a lot of
Right.
talk about time. Now, I think with Pluto retrograding, it's still in Aquarius. So retrograde until June 11th. Maybe things will slow down for people to process these accelerations that have been going on. But yeah, time is the new currency, as I have been feeling, and it has nothing to do with what age you are either, because
No.
the youngsters are saying that too. So this is going to be a very interesting first part of May. I really think until the sun transits into Gemini, because the new moon is happening right at the end. Well, we got to talk about Jupiter going into Taurus on May 16th of 2023 until May 2024, and then a few days later on May 19th we have the new moon in Taurus. So all this Taurian energy is amplified thanks to jolly Jupiter.
Yes. So we have a really action packed month of May. So on the 14th, yeehaw, Mercury turns direct. And then just a couple days later, Jupiter, which is the Titan of abundance, I call it the Santa Claus of the zodiac, generous Jupiter, moves into this sign of show me the money, values, your skills and talents, how you earn a living. Are you cultivating and harnessing your skills and talents? How are you using, as I said before, your time, energy, and resources? Do you Can you develop skills and talents, investing in yourself, that you potentially could monetize, or things that earth are earth related? think about climate change, planting a garden, composting. All of these things are going to be taking front and center with Jupiter moving into Taurus.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting after Jupiter going through Aries because traditionally Taurus is more of a thrifty sign of the zodiac. They're not a spendthrift like their polar opposite Scorpio. Money comes in, money goes out. Taurus saves for a rainy day. Now, Jupiter is expansive and abundant. Going into Taurus, people are going to get reality checks about money and resources and what the truth is. Like I think Jupiter and Taurus is going to be like, these are the areas we want to expand. Like you said, exploring the earth, new ways of farming, new ways of helping to heal the earth, looking at the waters as well with Saturn transiting Pisces at the same time. So earth and water more focus in the collective and healing these areas of our planet so that we have sustainability going forward. So that's a good thing. But I think people are going to tighten that Jupiter belt so that big cosmic Santa Claus, jolly Jupiter may be losing some weight as well.
Yes. And also with Saturn in Pisces, complementing Jupiter in Taurus for a few months, there's spreading the wealth. How can we help our fellow man? And for anybody invested in the stock market, the stock market is ruled by the sign of Taurus. That's why we call it a bull market. So I know people have been really concerned about where the stock market is going to go, but I think for at least initially this year, it's going to be stabilized because Jupiter in Taurus tends to bring a stabilization to the markets.
That's good news, I think, for people. Now if we look at cryptocurrency, something that I've been reading for in the last couple of years, crypto is ruled by Aquarius because it's a technology, it's of the future, and it's through the ethers, right? It's an etheric, it's through the Ethernet, through the internet. So when Pluto retrogrades in Aquarius, I think I've told people crypto won't really have its big debut until 2024 when Pluto is back in Aquarius and it will develop into something in the next 20 years. But there may be a little bit of some setback energy with the crypto, especially when Pluto goes back into Capricorn for the last 6 months of the year. But yes, I agree. Taurus, the stabilization of the markets and finding ways to help the financial growth and come back into more consistency financially without these ups and downs of the market.
Right. And then May 21st, Mars, I call it motivating Mars, is moving into the sign of Leo. So get your romance pants on because through mid-July, Mars it really loves being in the sign of Leo. I am hot, hear me roar kind of thing.
Right. And in early June, Venus will dance with Mars and Venus. So we'll have all the narcissists out strutting their stuff. So make sure you put your proposed mate through a narcissist test and the gaslighting test as well.
That is so true. Yes, because Venus does rule. I noted on my calendar D-Day because June 6th, which was D-Day in 1944, Venus moves into Leo on June 6th, and she's going to be there all the way until October because of her retrograde cycle over the summer.
Right. So again, there's going to be a lot of pleasure seeking. I mean, she will go retrograde too in in July, on July 22nd. But basically, it's a Leo lover summer with Venus going through Leo. So I think there's going to be a lot of boldness around dating and romance. And if people aren't being seen by their partners, they may think of dumping them and going for an outright forward thrust in partnership and dating. So it's going to be an interesting summer for relationships for sure. Would you like more wealth, prosperity, and love in your life? Would you like to develop your intuition so you can make better decisions? Well, I have developed online courses to help you. I have applied my years of experience of helping clients to experience more successful, prosperous, happy, and fulfilling lives with metaphysical techniques, tools, and powerful positive processes. I have created a series of empowering workshops. Check out my new online courses on Sanskrit Mantras for wealth, prosperity, love, and to develop your intuition. Check them out at jilljardineastrology.com / capital M as in Mary, C as in cosmic, S as in scene. That is jilljardineastrology.com / MCS.
Yeah. So both Mars, which is the male energy, it's the assertive or aggressive energy, and Venus, which has to do with love, money, and relationships, both in Leo. And I just want to remind people that Leo is about drama. And as you mentioned, narcissists can come with that. So you really want to watch for drama queens and people in your lives making drama. You want to check yourself that you're not creating drama where there doesn't need to be, stirring the pot where there isn't an issue. But it's also about taking risks and putting yourself out there. That's why romance falls within the realm of Leo. So pleasure, holidays, vacations, putting yourself out in a way creatively, perhaps. And creativity does not have to be limited to painting, writing, dance, music, that kind of thing. It can be anything. It can be business, sports, what have you.
Yeah, so we're into June now with that Venus transiting into Leo on June 6th. And June overall looks like a much more chill month than May. Actually,
With
June and we've got the sandwich of May and August, with the filling being June and July, sort of more chill, relaxed, less dramatic astrology. The lunar cycles are certainly a bit easier, but August, then we hit kind of some interesting dynamics with the planets. But yeah, so that Venus and Leo should be kind of fun. Like you said, it's like the fifth house in astrology, which is love, recreation, romance, creativity, all types, focus on children, bringing out gifts of ours and children we know. I just think it's going to be for a nice summer, because in July too we'll have the sun in Leo. So Leos finally need a break because they've been kind of persecuted by the Saturn going through Aquarius for 2.5 years, and then these eclipses happening in fixed signs Scorpio and Taurus. So Leos get a lucky break, I think,
yeah,
June,
no,
July, and early August.
yeah. So the end of May, the beginning, all of June and the beginning of July through mid-July really looks like a very nice stretch celestially. I mean, the only two other things that I noted that are happening in June, Saturn turns retrograde on June 17th, and Neptune turns retrograde the very last day. But these, typically we don't feel so much as we do the inner planets like Mercury, Mars, and Venus.
Yes, Saturn's retrograde on the 17th, Neptune retrogrades on the 30th of June, and Pluto is in retrograde and goes from Aquarius into Capricorn on June 11th.
Right.
And
So Pluto, just so everybody understands, Pluto has just stuck its little teeny tiny toe into Aquarius for the past couple months, and June 11th it moves back into Capricorn for the rest of 2023. So we're getting our toes just right now for a little bit, getting a feeling of what is to come in 2024 when Pluto moves into Aquarius permanently after it moves direct at the end of the year.
that is true. So then we get to integrate the Plutonian back into Capricorn, integrate the accelerations we had for about 8 weeks here in 2023, getting ready for 2024. I just want to also note the lunar phases in June. We've got a full moon on June 3rd with the sun in Gemini and moon in Sagittarius. So that's very social. That's very fun. And then the
Mhm.
new moon in Gemini comes on June 18th. So the Gemini equinox, which goes until the summer solstice on June 21st, should be pretty fun, I think. It will be a lot lighter after the Taurus equinox after May. We should have a much lighter June. There's a lot going on too. There's graduations and
Wedding.
socializations and Father's Day and things like that in June. So the Gemini energy will really help with that.
Yeah, June looks like a much, much lighter month than the beginning of May for sure.
And that continues into July. I mean, July, we're in the Cancerian energy, so it's a little more touchy feely, a little bit more emotional. We've got that full moon with the sun in Cancer, moon in Capricorn on July 3rd, and the Cancer new moon on July 17th. So that's great for healing, swimming in water, healing in water, home, anything that you want to do around the home, family, all of that will be boosted. And Mars will transit into Virgo on July 10th.
Yes. So Mars moves into Virgo, and a couple weeks later, a couple days later, July 22nd, Venus, its partner, ruling love, money, and relationship, turns retrograde for 40 days and 40 nights. So let's talk about that, because this is like, you think about what lasts for 40 days and 40 nights. It's like the season of Lent. So when you think about Lent, it calls up temptation, right? And so you really want to watch with Venus retrograde from July 22nd all the way through August, and it turns direct just around Labor Day. Think about what happens when you get tempted. Do you really need to buy a luxury item? So this is all about people from your past coming up, because it's love, money, and relationships. So it doesn't have to be an old boyfriend or an old girlfriend. It can be, your third grade classmate finds you on Facebook and reaches out to you
And they're a psychopath, and you have to make a decision if you want to reconnect or not.
and it's also, yes, you need a new car, but you might want to do your RE research during Venus retrograde, making sure that you buy the right kind of a car come late September when there's much clearer energy pattern. Go for a test drive during late July and August and try out different cars. But you really want to watch your spending during Venus retrograde from July 22nd through Labor Day.
Right. And with
Why?
the tempting, you don't want to RECYCLE, recycle that old boyfriend or girlfriend.
It's so true. I mean, it is notorious for people reconnecting to their exes, or starting relationships during a Venus retrograde cycle is not terrific either. So if you can avoid going on a first date, maybe talking to people if you're doing online, or just getting to know people. But it's really a time to relax, renew, refresh, doing those RE words.
I think that people may have more discrimination and discernment around who they're going to Leo lollygag around with starting July 28th when Mercury enters Virgo. That will give some discernment as far as, do I really want to go back with that boyfriend of mine who was double timing me and try it again? Maybe not. Once a cheater, always a cheater.
That's actually really going to be very helpful and a very good point. The other piece I just want to mention with Venus in Leo, retrograding through Leo, you want to watch for excess. And again, the drama piece, drama coming up in relationships. It's like, oh my gosh, here we go again, going over this same old, same old. Also, booking trips and holidays, if you can avoid it, that is optimal. If you can book it before July 22nd or after mid-September, it is, however, a great time to go away on vacation. So you want to book it between May 15th and early July if possible. And then it is a great time to spend on holiday.
That's a very helpful tip. Thank you, Hilary. Go on your vacation, but make sure you book it before July 22nd or after August. That's a great point. So come on, everybody, start booking those trips. We got a window here, but stay away from the eclipse and Mercury retrograde in May as well. So anyway, then we get into August. Drum roll, please. Once in a blue moon month, we're going to have 2 full moons, one at the very beginning and one at the very end of August. And people need to remember that Venus is retrograde in Leo for all of August, and that from August 1st to 23rd, we have 3 planets in dignity and home signs, including the Sun in Leo, Mercury in Virgo, and Neptune in Pisces.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. So we start the month with again, here's a pagan festival, Hilary, Lammas, also called Lammas,
Yeah,
also known as Lugnasa, occurs on August 1st, which is also going to be the date of the Aquarian full moon with the Sun in Leo and Moon in Aquarius.
that's
So,
beautiful.
yeah, that should be good for Aquarians and Leos. Taurus and Scorpio might feel the heat, though. And then we come into the 8-8 Lions Gate portal
Woo!
on August 8th, which this year the moon will conjunct Jupiter in Taurus. That should be interesting. If you want to make
Oh,
your prosperity intentions, do it then. And then the new moon in Leo is August 16th. Mercury goes retrograde on August 23rd through September 15th. And at the end of the month, August 30th, is the full moon in Pisces with the Sun in Virgo, the once in a blue moon, which, it's an interesting time because a lot of things are going to come full circle for people in August.
I just want to add that with Venus retrograde during all of August, this is a deeply creative time because Leo, where Venus is, Leo rules creativity. And so all creativity, whether it's a business venture or decorating your home or cooking, I mean, creativity, the sky is the limit. It's sport, it is any kind of hobby or playfulness. And it is a really, really deeply creative, soulful period. So the more you can just allow yourself to play and try different things that you haven't before, experiment and see what happens. Look at the world with like a childlike perspective and wonder. That will be really the key to some interesting, beautiful days during the month of August.
Yes, I think that will be enhanced too with the new moon in Leo smack in the middle of the month on August 16th. So definitely pursue those creative pursuits and see what unfolds, and things that people put on the back burner, such as like, yeah, I'm going to write this book. Yeah, I'm going to write that article. Yes, I'm going to compose this music piece. Yes, I'm going to get out and start doing open mics. That type of creative expression can definitely come forth in the month of August.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What do you think about, and then we're going to have Mars transiting into Libra on the 27th of August, and Uranus goes retrograde on the 28th. What's your take on that, Hilary?
There is a really tricky stretch that I just want to talk about. This whole stretch between Mercury turning retrograde on August 22nd, overlapping Venus retrograde. So at least they're retrograding at the same time. It's a very, very, very slow stretch. So not all of us can go on vacation during that time, but if you maybe can lay low, staycation, relax, Mars is not, when it goes into Libra, as you mentioned, in that same stretch, late August, it is not particularly happy in Libra because it can stoke some relationship issues. Mars is a fire sign, and when it goes into Libra, it's the opposite sign that it rules. And so you just want to watch for your language and words and relationships of all kinds, not just romantic relationships. It can be family, friends, work colleagues. And then also another tricky day is August 29th when Uranus turns retrograde. So just you want to be mindful of that stretch, the very end of August from the 22nd through the 31st.
Yes, and the other thing is that if you look at that time period, August 22nd, the late August, that's traditionally when colleges are starting up and people are bringing their kids back to school or kids are going back to school. And then, yes, then the regular school systems start coming online in late August and early September, courtesy this year of Mercury retrograde, Venus retrograde, Uranus retrograde, Saturn retrograde, Pluto retrograde. It's going to be a fun back to school and back to work after the summer season.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to get off to a really slow start. So expect changes in your schedule if things aren't going smoothly when you first go back to school or back to work after the summer holidays. You just want to take it easy and practice a lot of patience because things will get sorted out by mid-September when Mercury and Venus are direct again, but it will require some patience during that very tricky stretch, the last week of August and the first week of September.
Right. And then people who don't have kids in schools, like colleges or in the other school systems, if people don't have kids in that, it's not necessarily the best time for travel either because of all those retrograde planets. Because a lot of times people will go away that week because there aren't children out, there aren't kids, there aren't college students out in the vacation places, let's say on like Cape Cod or Vineyard or Nantucket because they're getting ready to go back to school. But there could be some frustrations with travel, whether it's locally or cross country or get in a plane or driving travel.
Yeah. Yeah, it's best to lay low as much as you can that week. And just if you are traveling, you really want to practice patience and just go with the flow as much as you can.
But I think we go out of August 30th, on that full moon in Pisces, which is a once in a blue moon. And so that means the sun is going through Virgo. So this is a really good time for people to focus on their health and their spiritual life. They're bringing that into balance and really maybe thinking about health interventions and health practices, remedies, healing interventions that people want to implement as we start into the fall season here in the Northern Hemisphere.
Yes, especially because the sun will be in Virgo in late August and Mars will be finishing its tour in Virgo right before it moves into Libra. So, how we can bring our lives better into balance, our health practices and health and well-being and spirituality into balance, living a more balanced, people talk about work-life balance, and that is really going to be the emphasis of a lot of these retrograde periods over the summer, is reflecting on how we can bring ourselves into greater balance with each other and with ourselves and definitely with the earth.
Right. And my words of wisdom for ending the summer, ending August, August 30th, full moon in Pisces, once in a blue moon, make a wish.
Make a wish.
Once in a blue moon. My guest has been Hilary Harley. Thank you, Hilary, for that update on spring, late spring, and summer of 2023. Always a
It's
pleasure to have you as guest.
so delightful to talk with you, Jill. And I feel like we cross check each other and cross reference and make sure we're catching all of it because this is a very big season we're coming into.
Astro Antics Action Packed. AAA for the summer.
It's so true. Thank you so much for having me, Jill.
Thank you, Hilary. Support Cosmic Scene with Jill Jardine podcast by going to www.buzzsprout.com/958-528/support. I hope you enjoyed this Astro episode with my guest, fellow astrologer Hilary Harley. Make sure you subscribe, download, share, and give us a 5-star review. This is Cosmic Scene with Jill Jardine, sending healing cosmic currents into the quantum field.